here's Brody Brazil.
I have a bunch of questions following MLB's recent round of reinstatements. And to be clear, this does not mean that Pete Rose or Shoeless Joe Jackson are now automatic entries into baseball's Hall of Fame, only that they are newly eligible for that if elected by the Historical Overview Committee as soon as 2027. This is certainly an interesting shift in burden, controversy, and conversation. What used to be MLB's final decision on Cooperstown now puts all the weight of this matter into the hands of more traditional gatekeepers. It's almost like a judge has reversed a court decision and now handed it over to a jury for their final say. I don't know if the end result actually changes here. I don't even really have an instinct on whether Pete Rose eventually gets into the Hall of Fame or not. But why would MLB suddenly have such a strong change of heart on decisions that were made and enforced without any wiggle room through several different decades and several different commissioners? It just feels like there's more to this entire situation than we can actually see on the surface. Does it have something to do with politics? I mean, we know that the president publicly stated on April 16th, and I quote here, "Baseball, which is dying all over the place, should get off its fat, lazy ass and elect Pete Rose, even though far too late into the Baseball Hall of Fame, ! End quote. Is there something that baseball is hiding here, or that they're afraid of, or that they need so badly, or they need to protect so dearly that they caved to the wishes of the White House? Did MLB's antitrust exemption get threatened here? And by the way, that's a weird thing for the president to be so focused on. I mean, if you really want to fix baseball, if you really care about baseball so much, maybe help in avoiding the inevitable lockout that's coming after the 2026 season, and not whether some deceased former players are allowed entry into the Hall of Fame. Or does all of this have something to do with the way that baseball, and really sports in general, have been overtaken with legal gambling operations and their profits in the last 10 years? In a lot of MLB markets, you can't even watch a single game on television for more than a single inning anymore without seeing a prompt or some odds or a parlay that would encourage placing a bet through that device already in your hands. If gambling on sports was the reason that people have been banned from baseball for life, then yeah, it's a pretty bad look for baseball to be cashing in billions on, legalized gambling on baseball. But for Shoeless Joe and Pete Rose, it goes a lot deeper than just casual betting. Like betting on your own sport that you're part of, or the team that you play on, or the games that you're playing in. And in the case of the 1919 Chicago White Sox, there's nothing worse than intentionally throwing that World Series to the Reds so that a majority of the starters on that team could get paid off. Or in the case of Pete Rose, there's a lot of other personal factors beyond betting, including convictions for tax evasion and allegations of statutory rape. It's not to say that every person enshrined in Cooperstown has always been a model citizen, but it's really hard to see past what we now can't unsee. Let's also admit that aside from the long-standing infamy surrounding Pete Rose and Joe Jackson, sports in general, but also baseball specifically, has a growing gambling problem. In recent years, we've seen several players and even umpires getting lifetime bans from baseball following investigations into their wagers. It's almost as if the closer we get to the sun, the hotter the temperature we feel, right? And if we're drawing lines in the sands here of Cooperstown, then what about Barry Bonds or Mark McGwire or Jose Canseco, just to name a few? Those were players of the steroid era that I grew up watching in Major League Baseball. And there's no question their abilities and their stats and what's on the back of their baseball cards makes them easily worthy of lifetime recognition in the Hall of Fame. But were they 100% innocent? Probably not. Was anybody back then 100% innocent? Also, probably not. So how do we include the likes of Charlie Hustle and Shoeless Joe, but tell others they're still not allowed, but maybe they'll be considered upon death? That death piece here is just so weird. We will also always have a controversy, eventually for players like Alex Bregman or Jose Altuve, or really anybody attached to the 2017 Astros who went on to win that World Series. I mean, baseball kind of covered up the whole sign-stealing surveillance scandal by giving players immunity and then just dishing out the punishments and slaps on the wrists of coaches and executives. And I mean, what's worse, losing a World Series on purpose like they did in 1919, or using technology of 2017 and garbage cans too to purposely cheat and win a World Series? To some, Cooperstown can be just kind of written off as, well, it's a popularity contest. And yes, that kind of is what the Hall of Fame actually really boils down to. Who are the best and most popular players over time? And nobody was ever going to agree 100% on all of the inductees anyways. But what MLB is doing right now has more to do with precedent. And if you can't set rules and then uphold them, then what rules even matter anymore? Rule 21 or really anything else that baseball puts out there. Of the 17 total players who are being reinstated here, by the way, it's more than just Pete Rose and Joe Jackson. I'm not here to tell you that those two who are being considered for Cooperstown, and specifically Pete Rose, should actually be inducted. I don't know if they should or will or couldn't or won't be, but I am here to tell you that I am concerned for baseball's overall health as part of this, from the perspectives of teams moving or making threats to relocate, and ratings and interest of baseball down over the decades and years, and lockouts, what seems to be every 5 years, and work stoppages, and now this Hall of Fame controversy. And the hard part to really accept here is that this stuff isn't happening to baseball. MLB is doing most of this to itself. Make sure you subscribe down below. I'd love to see you back here next time.